Ticker symbol FNGR has shown its broader market correlation during today's market volatility. With a good CPI read on both month-over-month and year-over-year, the markets still face some further drawdown. This can be due to the PPI report releasing tomorrow. Let's see if FNGR can provide for us the discount that we've been looking for. Let's validate now. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by once again. This is ARCa coming at you with an FNGR technicals and raw price action thread of analysis on this Thursday. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community in Discord called ARCa Bulls. With that said, let's dive right into the charts. Okay, team, actually one thing, I do have my little co-host right next to me right now. He may actually chime in, he may not, who knows? But he's out here doing his little thing, and I want to see if we can get him to be, here in the studio, if he can stay in here with me, right? He's trying to leave right now. So don't mind him if he chimes in, and also, he's watching his little show on the screen above mine. Right? Whoa. Almost dropping Cheerios here. Okay, let's go ahead and get this started now. Damn. All right. So anyway, team, FNGR on the bi-daily time frame. I want to show you some variance. First of all, yes, this is actually to my boy Welby, right? He's asking us if this pennant is something that could be in line for a good or bad. Right. Well, first of all, we need to go over the macro time frame here, because this can be seen in as far as the bi-daily all the way up to all the way down to the 4-hour time frame. Come here, buddy. Come over here. All right. So anyway, with that said, let's go ahead and just look at how you measure this. Right. So if we're looking at this on the bi-daily chart, let's go ahead and take a trend line. I know that some of you are drawing it all the way down to here, but I honestly don't like to make my pennants look like that. Okay, team. So in this case, I would actually take the trend line from the top side of the triangle all the way to this lower end, and then I would place it on a supposed area of breakout. Okay, so that would be right about here, and it's taking us to a very confluent target of $8.37. Now, why is that confluent? Well, I'm glad you asked. All right. So anyway, team, this is actually the channel that we were riding here for quite some time, and this is one of the original charts that I had made, a long time ago. So if you take a trend line from the breakout candle, right, from up here to down here, that gives you a psychological price objective. So let's go ahead and just apply it to that breakout zone, and you can see that it takes us to a target of about $8.37. So now that we're facing this pennant here on the bi-daily is giving you that confluent target as well. Now, I guess we can take it a step further and take, for example, the swing high to the swing low and see if we have any geometrics lined up there, which we may very well, right? So let me go ahead and take the actual shorter term range, which actually would be right up here to this one down here, right? So let's go ahead and apply that there. And, well, yeah, we actually do, right? So the 2-spot 618 is landing at about $8.24. So now that, I guess we can jot that down, right? We can go ahead and just keep that in mind here, as this would indicate a potential area of resistance, right? So now that's particular to the upside. So now what would actually make this an upside continuation? Well, we can actually see that, first of all, we're building the pennant during an upside. Okay, so that's already favoring the bulls. But please remember that this triangle is it's bidirectional, right? So this can actually lead to a downside play as well. Okay, so there are a couple things that are indicating that this is favoring the bulls. First of all, this is the bi-daily golden cross that we're looking at, right? We're getting super close to this, and we were talking about a potential crossover on this coming Friday, meaning tomorrow. Right, so we're going to go ahead and see if that actually validates. But anyway, team. So now, if we were to play this to the downside, similar trend line here, we just apply it to this downside. Hey, buddy, stay in here. So if this is applied from the breakout of the candle, this is insinuating that we would essentially come back down to validate the crossover, the SMA 200 to the SMA 50. But I do have to say that it would be breaking all kinds of relevant supports, specifically this regression line that we've been using right? And we've been calling all these bear traps using it, right? So I'm not sure that we can actually do that, but anything can happen in the markets, especially if you've been around, right? There's that little guy saying hello. So yeah, if this is suggesting a downside, then we could face a massive bounce from this area here. But to tell you the truth, I don't think that could happen. 278 to 292. At least I'm not favoring it, right? So in my opinion, I do believe that we have some downside, but I don't think that downside is relevant. Okay, so I'm going to show you why. But first of all, let's go ahead and now observe this same pennant using a different time frame. This is the 8-hour time frame. Okay, so actually, you know what? We can even bring it down all the way to the 4-hour, even if you want, right? So let me get the ARQ armor out of the way so that we can see exactly what's happening here. Okay, so now I know that, right? This is that area that a lot of people are drawing this pennant from. This is you're actually drawing it like this, telling me that we're potentially at the apex of the triangle, right? You're drawing it like this. But I'm going to tell you right now why I believe that's not okay, because this would already be an invalidation of this pennant. Getting this close to the pennant doesn't mean that we can't break out, but it just means that you're assuming that there is no downside coming in, right? So I can't do that. I think that there could be downside still to look at here, and because we're trading the stock market, right? We can't assume that everything is only to the upside, but in my particular, remember, I may be wrong here, you may be right? So I don't know, but in this case, sorry, team, he's actually jiggling around the chocolate almonds over there. So anyway, so what I'm saying here is that there could be an upside again, but I think that upside is getting heavily limited at that 540 level. It's been a couple times that where we get just slammed back down at that 540. So if I'm going to give you a range overall, I'm going to have to give you that 540 one more time, right? And we'll go ahead and take a look at that top side of the candle right there at around 565. Okay, so if we do get that 565, it would be indicative of touching right at the resistance of this pennant. But this is where a little bit of bearish news comes in. Not bearish, remember. Not bearish as in reversal, bearish as in we need to validate this triangle, okay? First of all, we have declining volume. We have declining price. This is indicative, and it is confirming, one of the ways to confirm a triangle formation, right? Whether it be a descending triangle, right angle triangle, symmetrical triangle like this one, like a pennant, right? Even a falling wedge. Right, so all of that is indicative of a triangle. So we're getting that. But the thing is that usually we need 2 tests of the support in order for us to validate that we are in that formation itself. Hi, buddy. Right, so if we do get that downside here, that would tell us that we would actually make a trip back down to the area of around $4.24. Okay, team. So, but if that does happen, you can bet your butt that there is a huge demand zone here, and there may be a massive continuation to the upside and the bounce of which I can't even explain from here. All right. What I'm going to tell you is that I don't know that we can reach down to this level here, but there are a couple things that are indicating a potential drop. And I don't think the drop is permanent. First of all, I don't know if you noticed, but in the broader markets, we did get that drawdown, right? So let's go ahead and just look at the daily time frame here on the SPY so you can see what I mean. All right. So upon getting that positive read of CPI, right, we actually went below expectations. So that means that we are on track for disinflation, right? So this is looking good. This means that the Fed may actually consider pausing the rate hikes, which in essence would introduce a possible pivot coming in. So if the Fed starts pivoting, that's going to be full-on bull cycle, okay, team? So right now we're not quite there yet, but the markets are still capitulating a little bit, and I think that it's due to the PPI report that is going to be released tomorrow. I believe it's 8:30 a.m. Eastern. We'll go ahead and double check that later, okay, team? So if that does show or introduce a continuation to the downside, then the SPY may actually drop a few points tomorrow, right? So let's go ahead and just take into account the first area that I believe so. Okay, this was my bottom side support today. Hey, baby. This was the bottom side support for today, right? Right at around 444.79 to 443.51. We got the bounce from this area here. Remember that there's a gap right there. Okay, so if we are able to fill the gap, then this would be indicative of actually getting a test of the SMA 50. located right at about 442.13. So that now gives us a new range for us to look at. Okay, we have to observe the broader markets too in order for us to gain an educated decision based on our positions on based on our risk on trades, right? So in this case, yeah, we can see this range here. It would be the closure of the gap right at about 443.01. Bottom side of the range right down here at the SMA 50, located at approximately 442.13. Okay, team. So if we are able to flex the SMA 50 down just a little bit, I don't think we can actually do it that easy, but that would introduce this bottom side here at 441.91. Okay, I'm just putting it out there just in case you are able to, just in case you're curious over what the broader markets can do in relation to the SPY itself. Okay, team. So anyway, I mean, this is regarding paper trading and simulation trading. This would actually present a pretty nice opportunity for some puts, right? So anyway, let's go ahead and continue on the analysis for FNGR. Now that we can see that FNGR was respecting the market movement, right? It was actually mirroring it. Now we can understand that, or assume here, or safely assume actually, that the FNGR ticker may face some downside alongside the SPY, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at that now. First of all, if we do get that upside, I'm talking about a top side of 565, which I don't see as likely, but it may happen. Okay, team. So if we don't get that, it would be that 540 followed by a potential drop here following the markets. Okay, team. So that would essentially lead to a bottom side target of starting at about 447. Okay, I know that I've been talking about some of these targets as of late, but it's becoming a little more and more relevant as we start moving through towards the days, right? So this, I'm gonna have to give you a range. All right, let's just go ahead and leave that 471. Right, and hi, baby. He's leaning on my arms, and to 482. Right, so that would be the first area to validate some type of support. Okay, so if we do get a support touch here, the next relevant area for us to come back and resist from is actually a little bit tighter of a range. So let's go ahead and talk about that now. Okay, team. So now remember, this is not me saying I'm bearish on the asset. This is me saying that this is the natural market flow, and we should keep in line what the broader markets are saying in order for us to maintain an edge, right, team? So yeah, let's locate the resistance level. Okay, so I'm looking at this candle here, right? I'm looking at this wick right down here, and I'm also keeping an eye on this top of this wick here. Okay, so we're going to see if there's any relation to that. Okay, so first of all, to this bottom side of the wick, that first one, yeah, lots of correlation there. This particular candle here, this one here, of course, this is the one that we're guiding by, and we would actually take this to right about that candle top right here at 505 to 490. Okay, so what I'm saying here is that there's two areas of support. Okay, these are two primary demand zones. I'm sorry. These are the non-primary demand zones, but they can serve for a potential upside depending if the asset just feels, if the broader sentiment just says, you know what, let's go, it's ready to go, this thing just pops to the upside, let's do it. And it goes on and meets the target that we're talking about around $8 to $10. That'd be great, right? But we have to face what's happening in the broader markets first. There's a lot of turbulence regarding the macroeconomic data that's coming out, so we have to respect that. Okay. Apologies if the video is already going a long time. There's just a lot to talk about here, team. Okay. So first of all, let's go ahead and kind of put a price. This would be the essential direction, okay? This would be the best case scenario. I'm not saying that we're going to 565. In fact, 540 may be a higher likelihood. For the sake of argument, let's just say that we validated that resistance from the force 565, right? We would get a bounce from this zone here anywhere between 490 and about 505. Please remember, all right? We'll get that pullback here. We'll validate the resistance of this zone here, which could be at about 513. Then we'll get that further pullback to bounce from the bottom zone. Now, that next move will be critical for us, okay? Because this is going to tell us if this is going to be a valid resistance or this area here, if it's going to be a valid resistance in order for us to push further to the downside. Now, the target that I'm looking at, it's just my directions here weren't so clear. But if I'm being very honest, let's say that this could be achieved by maybe Monday, maybe Monday end of day, right? That we can get this. This is a 4-hour chart, so this is moving along. This is moving along pretty fast. Okay, so yeah, we will get that resistance here Friday, end the day essentially in the red on Friday. Because we ended on the red on Friday, this would naturally validate the resistance zones, which would leave sentiment a little bit bearish, right? So that means that we would get the downside on that Monday following into Tuesday. Now the bounce to the upside from here, this is going to be an area where we're definitely looking at some nice price action towards the upside because we validated the entire triangle, right? So now this would assume that we would, push to the upside from this area here, get a resistance touch at 536, bounce from that 505 to 491, finally break out resistance from the 601, come back and validate our support, and then get some upside here. Okay, team. So then we could see what would happen then. Okay, but I want to just give you essentially what I'm looking at in like for the next few days, right? So if we were to suggest anything here, I think that we may be able to break out of this triangle right at around. I know. Remember, team, that these are just lines right here, right? And I'm assuming that this would happen all within this area here, not all the way over here. Okay, so I believe that there could be a shot at breaking out of this triangle at about 65% or 70% to the apex of the triangle, which would be essentially here. So that would tell us that we would be breaking out of this triangle maybe Wednesday, August 16th. Okay, so that would be that break out of the triangle here, resist from $6, come back down to the zone of around 545, right? And then continue onwards and upwards. All right, so we would just have to validate whatever this is right here, team. I want to just be completely transparent with you. I want to just share with you exactly what I'm looking at here. This is not a bearish thing that we're looking at. In fact, it's going to allow a lot more bulls that are currently pending to gain entry, right? So yeah, in fact, it'll probably spring it to the upside. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next chart here, and I want to look at volatility versus momentum. 30-minute. Okay, starting from the 15-minute time frame, downside pivot. We have some growing volatility. The RSI I'm not looking at here, okay? I'm not going to pay attention to the RSI. I'm going to pay attention to volatility versus momentum. This is volatility. Sorry, this is volatility and this is momentum. Okay, so let's go ahead and now look at the 30-minute time frame. 30-minute time frame here, we're actually decreasing still, downside here, and we're also increasing in volatility. Okay, so now let's go ahead and look at the hourly chart, and that's telling us right now that we're getting, careful there, baby, careful back there, careful. Okay, so we're getting some downside on the hourly. We're also at critical contraction, meaning that there are not many shares being traded. We saw that in the volume already. We're noticing. BBWP is absolutely reading that as well. Okay, let's look at the bi-hourly time frame. You can see here that we have a very strong pivot towards the downside on that EMA3. We are now in the gravitational zone of the bearish control zone. So that would essentially have us continue to the downside there. And paired with even, more contractive volatility that is only suggesting a continuation. All right, now let's look at the 4-hour time frame. 4-hour time frame is showing us a little bit of an upside pivot here. I mean, that's already a breath of fresh air, right? MACD is actually decreasing that bear pressure, and we're getting inbound cash, right? So nice. Let's look at the 6-hour time frame. The 6-hour time frame is already reading a little bit of that upside. Let's see the 8-hour time frame. It's consolidation. Let's look at the 12-hour. All right, consolidation. Yeah. So, team, I do think that we have a little bit of bearishness coming in, right? But we're gonna have to validate all that as we go. And the RSI right now is not giving me any information, team. If anything here, it's telling me that it's entirely just consolidating. Right, so I'm not sure that we're going to be able to trust that too much, but that's what it is, team, okay? So please remember never to take anything of which I'm talking about, anything which I iterate and show within these videos as any form of financial advice. I need you to remember that I cannot suggest for you to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. I need you to do your own due diligence and everything will be cool. But with that said, team, I wish you well, a very, very good night, and I'll catch you at the bell. Mañana. Adios. Yeah.